Hi, everybody. I just recently had a friend who became a widow, and I wanted to do a short video to encourage her and anybody else going through this transition right now. And my own personal experience was claiming these scriptures over myself and my kids whenever my husband was deployed in Iraq, and I felt like a widow. At the time, he was as far away as he could be, and I couldn't call him, and I didn't have anybody in the house but me and the kids, and so I claimed God's protection over us, and I hope that you will stand on these promises as well. All right, so one of the verses I want to bring up is Exodus 22:22, and God's commanding, "You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child." And then I'm going to go just through the Bible. Deuteronomy 10:18. And what I did is I looked up fatherless and widow on blueletterbible.com to get these. So if you ever want to know about a topic, you can go there and it can help you a lot. All right, Deuteronomy 10:18. He, speaking of God, doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loveth the stranger, and giving him food and raiment. Next is Deuteronomy 14:29. And the Levite, because he hath no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow, which are within your gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied. And the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of your hand, which you do. And so just for them to support the widows in the church, in the synagogue. Next is Deuteronomy 16:11. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, thou, thy son, thy daughter, and thy manservant and maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to place his name there. And so everybody got together and took care of the fatherless and widow. Here we go. Let's see. I want to just highlight a few others because I don't know if the video is gonna go so well being a longer video on Facebook or YouTube. So let's see. I highlighted a few, and the rest of them I'll just shout out. So let's see. The next would be Deuteronomy 16:14. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son, thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within thy gates. So they were included. Deuteronomy 24:19, you can look up on your own, 19 through 21. And then next I want to highlight Deuteronomy 26:12. Lots in Deuteronomy. Here we go. When thou hast made an end of tithing all the tithes of thy increase in the 3rd year, which is the year of tithing, and have given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within thy gates and be filled. So part of the tithe in the Old Testament was for the widows, for them to take care of them. So moving on to Psalms, Psalm 146:9. It's toward the end of Psalm. Says, "The Lord preserveth the strangers. He relieveth the fatherless and widow, but the way of the wicked he turneth upside down." Okay, sorry for the interruption. So next is Mark 12. I'm going to start at 42. "And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. a farthing. And Jesus called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. So Jesus cares what the widow gives an offering, and he's aware, and I'm sure he was recognizing her to show that it matters the proportion of your income that you give, and also your heart whenever you give. And so please don't quit giving to the church. All right, next is Luke 2:37.